Of our music, we are back here with the ESL Major League. I am Solid Jake.
And I'm Kubi. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. The teams have come back somewhat early. 12 minutes early. Still, though, that means we get the games to you guys faster. How exciting.
Esports. Getting the maps ready. Now, the map striking is currently underway here.
Yes.
In the chat, we see Sky Temple banned out, so no Sky Temple Game 1.
And we're probably not going to get the rest of the information because they have taken it to a private room so that we can't see it. Because we can't know their secret go-to
We're not cool enough for this.
map banning strategies. That's fine, though. So.
Let us talk about the teams, though.
Yeah,
Boom,
that's a
bam,
good idea. We can do that.
In one corner, we have two Arc Iliad
Yes.
with Furious D, Quibsy, and we talked about this little guy, Mr. Chubbs. Well, that's actually a Sadia in-game. That's his in-game name.
I told you. You didn't believe me?
You told me nothing.
Under the bus. No, actually, I think I remember saying, Acedia was there last week. Where did Acedia go? And now
Well, that explains it. That explains it.
Chubbs and Acedia are one and the same, but maybe they're actually two different people.
No,
we're kidding, guys.
We may
it's the
never
same
know.
person.
But that is Acedia, also
Yes.
known, or maybe rather, Acedia is Chubbs.
Yes.
And then we have Panucci and Trader. That's two Arc Iliad.
Mm-hmm.
One of our two teams.
That's right. And the other team, Evil Geniuses. Of course,
Boom,
we
bam,
have
boom.
Idra, LZ Gamer, Faye, Kawhi Rice, and ZPs.
Now, ZPs, we know his full name. We have no idea what he looks like. I definitely didn't sit on a panel at BlizzCon with him. I've never seen his face, so that's completely up to your imagination, though.
Yeah.
You know, I'm actually, Kui, speaking of that panel at BlizzCon, Blizzard, if you're watching, why was that never released?
Ooh.
There
Is that you Shire?
That's a
Shire,
shot fired.
Shire and Fots. That's what it
Mr.
was.
Dreadnought, myself, and ZP sat
Yeah.
on a panel to
What a-
talk about
what a fancy
competitive
panel.
heroes, and
That's a fun time.
it was never released on the internet. I'll never get to know how dumb I
that
look.
missing episode of the lost episodes.
Lost Vikings.
I see that. I see what you did there. That was fancy.
So, all right, let's talk.
Yeah,
here.
let's talk.
All right,
What you
straight. Evil Geniuses. Let's look at them again. Look at their pretty faces. Idra, LZ Gamer, formerly Evil Geniuses StarCraft 2 players.
Yeah, that's true.
They both played Brood War. They transitioned to StarCraft 2. Idra, LZ, both Zerg players. Kawhi Rice, also a StarCraft 2 player.
Yeah.
And he bounced around between various teams and various races. He actually played Terran and Zerg at different points. And
Was he the guy who played random at some point?
no,
Did
you're
he
thinking
start out
of,
playing random?
Is that Kiwikaki you're thinking of?
No, Kiwikaki was Protoss.
I know TLO once played random.
I want to say Kawhi Rice might have dabbled in the random,
He might have.
at least when he started.
Now, but my point being, these three handsome gentlemen all have experience with crazy multitasking.
Oh, I see what you're getting at here.
across the map.
I see what you're getting at.
And I'm the Viking ban. The ban on the boat has been lifted. The sails can
Be set. I think that's
be set,
They
yeah.
could be set,
I-
and perhaps there could be some wind going into these sails. That was the worst. The boat's going nowhere with that wind. Nowhere, absolutely nowhere.
I want to see the Vikings.
All right, yeah. I think that would be pretty fun. That'd be pretty fun. Do you have any prior knowledge to suggest, other than your very drawn out accusations of them playing multitask
No, there's
games back in their day?
There's no knowledge of what they've been scrimming with.
So we're just pitching dreams here.
We're just hoping. We're just hoping
yeah, because
that somebody pulls out the Eric, the Olaf, and the Balog.
I mean, I can tell you how awesome they are. They have boats.
Boats are good.
They play their own theme song during these boats.
Oh
They-
my god, what a good song it
They
is,
have
too.
slingshots. They throw swords. and they have
Unlimited
giant
swords.
shields.
And if you get
Yeah.
the pajama skin, you store those swords
Yeah.
in a carrot.
It really doesn't get any better than this. So I'm really hoping that 2Arc or Evil Geniuses, one of you guys, plays Vikings. That doesn't mean ban the Vikings. That means play them.
Right, because last
Really
week
need it.
we actually did see a ban on the Vikings over in the Dinget tournament that we have going on. Now, that happens on Friday nights, and there was a game where the first map of the series was actually on Haunted Mines, which is a bit unusual. And we saw Respect Band come out very quickly onto the Vikings because if you're like, all right, why are we going to Mines? Why is this the map they opt for? You might be a little bit suspicious. So we did see that ban come out. So we have not ever seen Vikings play. I don't think they were played in EU today. I don't think Vikings have been seen, period.
All right. I think that lobby's getting set up.
Yeah, we're gonna get Kubi in here into the lobby. We're getting the lobby ready to roll, and there's one
Dragonshire.
Dargan is gonna be the map. Yes, that's good to clarify.
All right.
All right.
So Darganshire.
Dargan.
Have these teams picked up on either of these meta shifts? That being Asmodan and or Illidan/Sonya. Illidan, yes. We know that Evil Geniuses will play Illidan. They feel comfortable on that hero. I think Idra was the one playing Illidan, I want to say.
I think you're right.
We also saw some Jaina play last week. Was that last week out of them?
I believe so. But in general, both of those heroes are really strong and really cool, and we saw how well Templestorm was able to deal with them. And we like to assume they were watching the game. We know 2Arc was, because 2Arc, well, they actually messaged us, so we know they've been watching the stream. They're the ones that actually corrected us on Chubbs being a Sadie the same person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be cool to see what we see here, because Tempostorm and Murlocs, yeah, they're like practice partners in a lot of ways. They scrim together a lot.
Yeah.
So we could see a very different meta here. Now,
Right.
obviously, the cat's out of the bag. We know that Asmodan is very powerful. We know that his power does exist. And when we're looking at Dragonshire, that's the map where we saw him actually look just completely broken. And the draft has begun, and we're seeing a ban on ETC.
Immediately, a very different style and approach to these bans, right? So in the previous series, if you guys were watching, double ban mutually, not double ban, but a ban mutually from each team onto those quote-unquote super strong supports. That being Rhaegar and Uther. Brightwing did receive quite a few nerfs in this last patch, so now Malfurion is probably the stronger pick of those remaining three, and then depending on the situation, you grab Brightwing or Lily. We see a hammer ban.
Huh.
Not what I was expecting.
Very peculiar. Seeing Hammer banned out, but of course the map is Hammershire, as you like to call it.
It is Hammershire.
And that's not uncommon. It's not common, but it's not uncommon. We've definitely seen Hammer banned on this map time and time again. Very powerful pick, and the first pick is going to go to that Swiss Army knife of a hero that is Tassadar. So this really just it holds your hand.
That's the biggest thing to take away from this first pick on
By
Tassadar.
hold your hand, I mean hides your hand.
Well, you're holding on to it while you're hiding it, right? I mean, your statement's a little ambiguous, but it's not wrong. Okay. All right, so we do it, yes. We have that Tassadar pickup from 2Arc. Now, we have to see what type of strategies. I mean, what are these teams valuing at this point in time? And it's going to depend from team to team. I mean, what they value is going to change. Do they want to get that support early? Is the warrior very important? Now, there's quite a few assassins that are going to be very viable picks on this map. I mean, Hammer was one of them. Of course, we see Hammer banned out. Maybe on something like Hearst Hollow, Hammer might not be so popular. But this, okay, and there we go. So it would seem as though they do value that warrior pick early, and this leaves 2Arc in an interesting position, warrior-wise. We did see quite a few nerfs for Arthas in this past patch, and I'm guessing, from what I've heard from a lot of various players on teams, Arthas is not... Oh, we knew he wasn't as strong as he was, but he's not quite at that level where you want to play him. So where does this leave you?
Yeah.
Do you take... We even saw Diablo last week. Is the Muradin the only option? We'll have to see. It's probably, I'm going to guess at this point, they'll leave it until the end, 2Arc.
I'd be shocked if they didn't leave it for their last pick here, because... when you consider that, like, they might, EG might pick up the Nazebo, maybe you want to pick up Tyrael for Judgment.
Yeah.
Yes, losing Cast Aside is a huge, huge change to the hero. But yeah, they buff Regen Master. This is something that has maybe made something like Chen a viable pick based on the scenario, but immediately we see Illidan getting picked up here by 2Arc with a Rhaegar. And I think the Rhaegar is not a big surprise at all. You see Uther, you're going to respond with Rhaegar. But the Illidan, this could mean Sonya play.
It's a possibility. We'll have to see if 2Arc has caught wind of this particular strategy. We didn't really see the double Illidan or the Illidan Sonya play make a huge impact. It looked, they had some opportunities, some moments where it looked quite strong.
But you're talking to Tempo Storm, the team that knows how to deal with this better than anyone.
Of course, yeah. That's a good point to bring up. So the reason that Rhaegar was sort of an obvious pick is that every team is aware of how strong double support is. And if you give a team Uther Rhaegar, that can create some problems for you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you see the Uther picked, Rhaegar, immediately.
Now, doesn't mean that EG can't go double support here, though. Malfurion, of course, still on the table.
There it is.
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to see
right.
that. EG's actually opting for the double support style. Malf, I've said this time and time again, amazing on Dragonshire. And Jaina is a really interesting pick here, but she does have really high damage output. And teams in general are just really starting to understand how much she can do. Yes, she has the lack of mobility. She has no escape till level 13.
I think Evil Genius's last pick is going to be Zagara.
Really?
Yeah. 2 arc though. That is what's at hand.
I think that Zagara would not be picked up if Zebo is still available. But if Zebo is picked up for 2 arc,
yeah,
it's weird. I mean, look,
I would guess
Vala's still on the
Murden.
table. That's crazy. The thing
That's
that
a good point
Vala
to
is still
make
on
too.
the table
You're
this
right.
late in the game.
You're right. So Evil Geniuses has put themselves in a position where they need damage, but they also need some. Well, I guess between Uther and Malf, they can lock down the enemy team from trying to save whoever gets hooked. So they're going with the traditional, put a lot of pressure on the Stitches to get those hooks. If they land them, team fights will go very nicely initiation-wise. Swimmingly. I like it. I'll go with that.
You should. You better like it.
All right. So, yeah, you're right, though. There's a lot of options in terms of that last damage slot for 2 arc here, Nazebo or Vala, or they could try the Sonya thing. All of these things are possible. I'm more curious about the tank pickup.
Here's the thing. Here's the weird thing. Okay, Tyrael.
Ooh.
So that kind of says no to the potential. I think we're going to see Sonya here. I really think it's going to be Tyrael Sonya. I think they're going to try for an eraser style and just eliminate that Jaina. If they have so little damage and they can remove Jaina so convincingly with an Illidan Tyrael Sonya.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But is Jaina going to be in that position? We'll have to see. I mean, it's as Evil Genius's composition appears, yeah, that's going to be the easy target to grab. Malf, like we saw in the last game, Ice Block is available.
Yeah.
Uther eliminating him, yeah, that's a kill pickup, but you still have to deal with his utility in the rest of the fight. Stitches, for obvious reasons, is not the strongest target to pick off. So,
and let's just be sure to kind of reinforce the fact that Ice Block has received a buff where all your auras, cooldowns, and stuff like Tranquility does persist through Ice Block.
It's true.
So it's actually a significant buff, and they're going to go for Ravenous on their side.
It's true. All right. That is their only tank, but they're very frontliners. They're very aggressive heroes, and of course I mean Illidan and Tyrael.
Yes.
They can die very easily, so they have to pick and choose their team fights, and they have to be very confident. And the coordination needs to be there from 2 arc side of things.
They do have Ancestral, so that helps. They do have the pseudo support out of Tassar as well, so they have that going for them. But
so do you suspect just a very high damage output hero?
I like Vala. I think
Yeah.
it's kind of weird to not take Vala. I just think you just need lots of damage. Like just whittle them down. If you can outlive them, you need damage output on your side as well.
Tychus is still on the board too.
Tychus is still on the board, and so is Zeratul. But I think Vala and Zeratul are better picks than Tychus in this situation.
Zeratul, I thought about Zeratul at first and then dismissed him immediately. I was like, okay, not enough damage there. Level 20 things change. Yes, he does have rewind available. That is 4 sets of bombs. That's double cleave. Lots of mobility. That's true. Is it worth waiting until that point? It's possible because Evil Geniuses does have a very passive team composition here, right? They have the ability to sustain through a lot of whatever is tossed at them from 2 arc side of things. Oh my god!
It is Zagara. Kubi wins this battle.
Oh,
It's interesting. Zagara has a lot of sustained damage, and the Maw is very powerful.
that was my first thought. Hook and then use Maw to isolate some targets.
The interesting thing about this, though, is does this mean we're going to see a Blizzard style out of Jaina? Like, what are we actually going to see out of the Jaina? Because
you have a lot of opportunities to lay damage down uncontested.
True.
Right? If the things are going well in terms of how the supports both have roots and stuns available on their kit, Stitches is not necessarily the strongest in terms of peel. Yes, of course, the hook is very good, and that will be a nice way to initiate those team fights, but not necessarily as good for blocking as maybe, say, Muradin is. That said, though, there's still a lot of opportunity for Jaina to get some work done. And you're right. Maybe we will see something that is just very AoE focused to capitalize on those Maws. If the Maw is there, 3 people are inside of it. Divine Storm, Blizzard, Brute.
You're right.
It gets gross real fast.
It does. All right, we're going to tell the players that we are ready to roll, and we're going to get ready to start the first game here of this Best of 3 series in the ESL Major League, Kubus Maximus.
That's right. Are you excited?
I
think it's very nicely evenly matched teams here. I'm excited. Don't think I've seen them play in some time. I don't recall. I don't think they played in the last Kings. So
if they didn't play in Kings, then must not have played.
I don't know. I haven't personally seen or casted them in some time, so it should be good to see how these guys are pairing up.
Well, no lost Vikings. I'm a sad Jake.
Yeah.
Dragonshire is going to be our map.
It's true.
And
it's okay. We still have a potential for 2 more games here. There's a lot that could go our way here in terms of picking up.
I'll tell you what didn't go my way. The overlay.
Oh, no.
And we're going to get that fixed on the fly. This looks like booty, I understand, but I'm having some hotkey issues in general. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. But that is now corrected? Yes.
There we go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Game number 1, Evil Geniuses here on the blue side, and in the red side,
we have 2 Arc-Iliad.
No one's dancing. No one's doing anything. Kubi Gate put out a call to action here.
I did put out a call to action.
Teams to step up their pre-gate tactics.
Yeah. How dare they strategize and talk about what's going to happen in the next 10 seconds. No, they should be doing silly shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need shenanigans.
They need to step it up. Well, we see this party bush here in the middle of the map. It's become a very common thing here on Dragonshire, and EG is just opting to body block their minions so that they are more pushed back on this side of the map. Doesn't even look like they really did that. They're just kind of hanging out behind their wall, and they know the hook's on their side, so they don't really have to worry about that.
Lane configuration wise, we do see the 2 warriors have situated themselves in the top lane. Those tend to be quite the stale matchups. Both those heroes are very capable of getting out of the way in terms of ganking. Those are the safer heroes. They tend to be thrown further away. As you can see, the distance between those 2 lanes is quite high. What's left over is what's normally a 1-1-3 configuration for the teams, but lately there's been considerably higher amount of rotation between those 2 lanes. Double soaking if you have Regen Master, which on the Evil Geniuses side of things, yes, that's definitely a situation that they want to be paying attention to and trying to capitalize on. We'll see if they get aggressive in terms of rotating between the lanes to try to capitalize on those Conjurer's Pursuit. What did I say, Regen Master?
Yep.
Conjurer's Pursuit, what I was getting at.
Yeah, of course. That's the mana version of Regen Master, if you will. Making sure you soak those globes is quite important. No Regen Masters in this game itself, but a lot of damage being done. Quibsy being very aggressive, but he's getting so low, the heal coming out, and it's not going to be enough as he dives forward to his death. And First Blood, very quick here, going to the side of Evil Geniuses.
Some hesitation there. Did you see that?
Yeah, there really was.
That was, he looked like he was, all right, I'm out of here. And then he turned around for a second. Maybe he got mini-mapped. It's always a possibility. Getting mini, you guys know what I'm talking about. Getting mini-mapped. It's rough. It's happened to everyone. And look at this. Maybe Shampoo was right. Tyrael not the stronger laner compared to... Oh, and a really, really nice healing wave from LZ Gamer.
Yeah.
Take that kill on Rhaegar.
I mean, a really nice start here for Evil Geniuses in general. They have a sizable experience lead that can change very quickly, but the rotation from Illidan in the top lane is going to end up picking up that kill on Stitches, making it 2 for 1 here. 2Arc is fighting back. Game's still very early.
Absolutely. I'm looking at Jaina's build real quick, and we do see the Arcane Intellect picked up.
Yes.
That's very sustained style, right?
This is the Jake
She
style.
needs to throw down a lot of abilities, and as I understand it, that Arcane Intellect is pretty good at allowing you to throw down a lot of abilities.
It's lingering chill. That's the additional 2 seconds on the chill.
That's true.
So you get hit. Typically, we see like maybe the increased range in Ice Lance or Frostbolt rather, or maybe we see the additional 10% thrown on there for the slow. But this is additional duration on the slow. So it's going to be interesting to see what they go for. I'm kind of expecting a Blizzard build because when you grab Arcane Intellect, I believe that's the tier where you're giving up the potential for the increased width, but you can still get the increased range and the third strike. But we'll see what ends up happening in this game.
Good points. The other build that I'm actually going to be paying attention to, it looks as though ZP's is undergoing a bit of body blocking. You're not going to be enough to quite get him. Quibsy going over the wall. He wants it. He does get the burst there, and he should be able to get his cooldowns reset so that he can hop over that wall. As you guys see there, a close call, but Quibsy has played quite a bit of Illidan, knows what the limitations are of that hero, except for that one time in the bottom lane. We'll forget about that for a second.
Making plays.
Making plays. He does pick up the kill on that Stitches in the top lane. Nicely done. That said, Stitches, speaking of, he's going a full Slam build. I like it because they need the damage. Slam, although not super high damage, it's fairly low cooldown compared to the other abilities. I want to say it's around 10 seconds or so. And when you get that extra range, you're going to be hitting a large chunk of people. It's very AoE oriented, this whole EG lineup.
Right.
So
full
that's
slam,
pointing right to that.
Hold the ham.
Sorry, what? Fall what?
I don't know. Some words came out. Well, we see Jaina just kind of consistently trying to poke and prod away, but Idra gonna end up falling here as he oversteps his bound a little bit with this rotation from Quibsy. That's the thing with Jaina. Jaina struggles with assassins that can really get onto her, and she can't escape.
That's true.
And that's one matchup that's actually really hard for her is actually Illidan. Another one that's really bad is stuff like Nova and Zeratul are very difficult for Jaina. And this could force something like, oh, we're actually seeing Icelands picked up. So I actually have no idea what he's trying to do for this build. It's picking up Icelands. That's, of course, when you hit with the Q on a chill target, that you have the 2 additional seconds on the chill.
Sure.
This gives you a little bit more leeway in general, but still not something
it's more,
we've seen
I mean,
yet.
she does have an issue in terms of cooldowns, right?
That's true.
She can throw down all of her abilities, but then is sitting there for a little bit until her cooldowns come back. This allows you to chain those Ice Lances together in between your spells. So this might be more, they're definitely planning on longer fights. Yeah, the Blizzard was one way to potentially go about doing that. This is another, I think.
Well, we see the heroics being picked up here. It's going to be pretty similar stuff. Meta, Ancestral, Archon, Judgment, and last but not least, Nazebo. Hiding that Ravenous Spirit. I do not think we'll see.
He's actually been delaying taking quite a few of his talents this game. I noticed that by the time he had hit level 7, he hadn't selected a level 4 talent, which would be Gathering Power. I don't recall if he was present for any of those kills, but that doesn't mean he loses out on those stacks for Gathering Power, which it's going to be a big deal. Probably won't make that much of a difference come level 10, but who knows. Still hasn't selected, but we do have level 10 for Evil Geniuses, and those heroics will be... Hey, I see a funky colored talent there, but hold on, let me get to that in just a second.
Ancestral Healing went off on the Stadia, and the Twilight Dream came out, followed by the Divine Storm. That's going to pick up a kill on Trader. Good night, Sweet Prince. That combo of Twilight Dream and Divine Storm is absolutely terrifying.
Would you say it's a nightmare?
Oh, goodness. It is. Twilight Nightmare.
Of course, the
Nightmare?
level 20 upgrade for Twilight Dream is Nightmare. That's why it's funny. Ha ha.
What a guy. Such humor.
All right, so we didn't get to see all of those, of course. Water Elemental, Divine Storm was used there in combination with Twilight Dream. A nasty combo, and it can be quite difficult when you don't have any spells to cast immediately afterwards and you've been stunned for some time there. Maw, like we were suggesting, and also Putrid Bile.
It's interesting. I think this is kind of some smart stuff, considering that they are against that Illidan. You talked about this a little bit earlier. You said, well, they don't have a whole lot of stuns to deal with the Illidan when he dives in, but if you can silence him, that's pretty big. Like, that's actually pretty big. So between Uther and Mouth, they can actually deal with an Illidan incredibly well. We see EG got this very early Dragon Knight, only 10 seconds left on it, did a little bit of damage here, taking out these towers in the middle lane and trying to poke this bottom lane, but the rotation out of Tuark is there. Oh, the Judgment goes forward, and they go in onto Idra. Idra falling back quickly. The Ancestral's going to be enough to keep Quibsy alive, but that Maw will pull the Archon out of the battle for the time being. Ravenous Spirit still going to town. Quibsy's going to fall, Paducci's going to fall as well, but the Ravenous trying to get that additional damage just to remove at least one member of Evil Geniuses. It doesn't look like it can do it. The Twilight Dream forces them back. Idra going onto Trader with the Cone of Cold. Pick the Side Storm, not quite enough. Moonfire.
Wow. If he
so
gets out,
close.
that'll be crazy. I don't think it's going to be a healing wave. Will be okay. Just one on Quibsy going in. Does not care. He's going to have his dash off cooldown in just a second. Oh, that could have gotten insane for Evil Geniuses real fast. Every time, I mean, he was so close to taking out one of those heroes. If he takes one out, he's getting health back for all those auto attacks he throws down. That's less DPS that's going out onto him from each of those autos. Tassadar was still nearby to throw down another shield in a couple seconds. He could have cleaned up 2 or 3 people there, and I understand why he went in. When you play Illidan, you're always towing that line of glory and despair, right? That's
It's a good way to put it.
that's the way it is with Illidan. Illidan mains out there, they understand the despair and the potential for glory. You have to capitalize on it, and so I like him going for his gutsy play. Still, the fight started out with them diving onto Jaina. Now, we talked about this even in the draft. They have to protect Jaina. They did exactly that. A stun went down as soon as we saw that the judgment in, and Illidan jumping in onto Jaina.
Right.
The stun went down right away. So nice reactions from Evil Geniuses to really protect what will probably end up being their biggest output of damage.
Right, I mean,
in
if we
most
look
of
at
these
the
team fights.
meters now, I mean, Jaina,
Not yet.
she's up there. She's sticking with stitches, but as the game goes on, she will, in fact, continue to get stronger and stronger. And we actually see, I like this. I like the strength rate pickup here, because when you have this kind of dive style, these people coming in onto your team, you want to just lock them down, stop their mobility, and keep them away from that Jaina. So this is really just kind of playing to that style. And it also has a lot of synergy with the Mutalisk. So you summon the Mutalisk, and that person is, you know, affected by the shrink rate. It's going to guarantee a lot more damage output out of that unit.
It's a very, very good point to bring up there. And I was expecting to see the teams, now that the shrines have popped up, perhaps to send one person up to the top to deal with that. Not quite the case. Illidan is flirting mid there with Uther, and I thought perhaps Tuark was going to get very aggressive in trying to take this bottom shrine. They're playing it safe.
Yeah, a lot of fancy footwork happening right now, just using these totems to try to zone them out. Just kind of looking through the builds in general, we're actually seeing Stormcaller, which probably not the most common talent, but it's something we're seeing picked up here. The Divine Storm coming out onto Quibsy, and Quibsy does back on out of there. Ancestral Healing still available, and here comes that Ravenous Spear, but the Twilight Dream is going to force them back for a little while. Kawaii Rice going to be able to stay alive through the help of that Healing Ward, and there is the Ancestral onto Quibsy after he gets hit by the Shrink Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. And Trader, although pretty nice Ravenous Spirit, we did see that Panucci stayed around a little bit too long. The W, the shield, and the upgraded talent that he picked up at level 13 was not quite enough to keep him alive during that, although we saw the Ancestral go down in Quibsy. Wasn't able to keep Tyrael alive in that fight. And another lockdown onto Illidan.
The stun root combo onto the Illidan. You can't, if you can't damage, you can't heal, and that's the life of an Illidan, not able to use any of his abilities to get out of there, and they're able to pick up that kill. Nicely done. EG is in a nice position, 1 level lead, sitting on those level 16 talents, and they're going to try to pick up the second Dragonite of this game right now.
Yeah, they have a significant hero advantage, and I don't see why they wouldn't be able to, although the Mist Hook went out. No sweat off their back because they have that Dragonite, just as you were talking about. Now, in that last fight, or at least afterwards, right as soon as Tyrael died, I thought that was a pretty good cue for them to back out immediately, although giving up map control would have been a bit dicey in that situation. I think that not losing heroes there was also important because exactly this. They have level 16 now. It's important. Those talents are quite strong. And we do see Panucci diving right in there.
Yeah, they're trying to blow up Faye. They decided to switch targets. Quibsy gets a very early heal. Kind of unfortunate to use that so early. Divine Storm and Twilight Dream both going up simultaneously, but it doesn't look like it's actually going to matter in the end, as EG has every right to push on forward. Idra in that Dragonite. Going to pick up the kill on Panucci with a nice hook coming out from ZPs, and this fort is going to end up falling.
Yeah, the Ancestral Healing was the whole story of that fight. They needed to keep Illidan alive a lot longer. You have to maximize the efficiency out of that Ancestral. You need to get at least half of a health bar on that Illidan, preferably after he transforms through Metamorphosis, because he gets that higher HP bonus. He was, what, 95% HP when he got healed up?
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of wasted potential, the highest burst healing that you can throw down in the game. 50-second cooldown still, you're not going to see that again in the fight. You need to keep Illidan alive. We saw him fall, Tyrael falling right afterwards. The fight is just going to collapse for 2ARC.
It's just sometimes as a Rhaegar player, you have to really throw that ability out early. You expect a hero to die. You expect that hero to be focused down and blown up. And that's not at all what happened. It's just kind of like he made a read, and the read was very wrong. And that's kind of the power and the risk with Ancestral Healing. And I could essentially, I wouldn't say it cost him the fight, but it certainly didn't help.
I think it did. I'll go out on a limb and say that it did cost him the fight by a large margin. Just not having Illidan alive. As soon as I saw the Ancestral go down, they just blew him up. And he's a large kingpin in terms of how the fight, the DPS goes, damage dealt. He controls a lot with his abilities that get thrown down, body blocking, everything. It's all very important to have him there. They've built this strategy around him. We do see him throwing that Metamorphosis down onto Idra. A lot of abilities going on to him, but once again, he gets blown up very quickly.
Now, that time the Ancestral was on point, but it was just a little bit too late. We saw the power coming out from that Twilight Dream, locking him down, and there's a big Root Divine Storm combo. Gonna secure 2 more kills. Panucci falls just as he dashes forward. Hook goes out, not gonna reach Chubbs, also known as Asadia, just quite. And the heals coming up from the Healing Ward. This is gonna be continued aggression with these Giants. The damage output between Faye and Idra is gonna be so high, and they're gonna try to get a keep out of this.
EG has been doing a very solid job protecting the Jaina. We see time and time again, 2ARC has been attempting to kill her, to dive in, isolate her, and it's just been, they've been turning it around, getting the stuns on the people that are diving in. They don't get enough efficiency out of those frontliners. They've kept the Jaina alive for the most part during those team fights, and it's been paying off.
And speaking of paying off, this damage bailed out of Stitches.
Yeah.
Slam, 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 Vile, Putrid Bile, everything, and it's looking like he is topping the charts. Nearly 50k damage, higher than any other player in this game right now.
It is very sustained style damage. Of course, every time you hit him, his trait procs. He gets, the slam hitting pretty frequently. I think they talented into the trait procking on slam. So while, yes, his damage is high, it's not probably about the furthest thing from burst damage that exists on this team. So just keep that in mind in terms of his efficiency. I would say that Jaina and Zagara are probably the bigger stories here in terms of why they're able to keep these team fights in their favor.
I can't disagree with you there, but both shrines have been picked up by Evil Geniuses, and Zebo is standing on the bottom shrine trying to get that away and will be successful in that endeavor.
Another big story that we haven't been talking about too much, and we're just talking about Stitch's efficiency in fights, the hooks. They've been there. They've been doing a very nice job. There it is once again.
And the roots are always there. They trust in the hook. Yeah. They say, hey, look, even though this is a blind hook, we believe we're going to throw down that root reactively just in hopes of picking up that kill. Because when you get that root on the Illidan or whichever player ends up being, and then you can combo in with the stuns from Uther, you just get a free kill, essentially.
Jake, I'm thinking of a number between 1 through 20.
14.
No, it's 20. They just hit 20. It's pretty important.
Oh, goodness.
Trick question.
So bad. Just give you a random number. Level 20. Looking at those talents here, we are seeing Divine Hurricane. We are seeing Winter Mute. Going to be both of the Storm Hardened Shield and Malfurion going for the Storm Shield. Kawhi Rice might need to pop that here. He's taking a lot of damage, but that Twilight Dream onto Quibsy is going to keep him locked down. The Roots and Divine Storm, even the Shrink Ray, not going to be enough as he's going forward. The Ancestral Healing was on point this time. Kawhi Rice will lose his life, and this is the aggression that 2ARC has needed. They pick off one healer. They're going in. Illidan does fall. Can they flip this around? That was Sadia being hit by that Pulverize. The hook follow-up. Gonna fall here. Ooh.
LZ's kind of in position. I'm surprised he isn't turning around here just to make sure they can get the kill. Of course, they are buying time for the Dragon Knight to keep slapping away at that core. It's a big deal.
I can't believe Sadia lived through that.
I know.
Like, there's just so close, but doesn't matter, like you said.
Making trades at this point in the game, is, especially when you consider that level 20, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Now, that fight started quite a bit better for 2ARC.
Yeah.
And before we get into that analysis, of course, congrats to Evil Genius taking that 1-0 lead in this best-of-3 series. But now back to that last team fight, because I'm excited to talk about it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you excited, Kubi?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was...
This excited. Yeah, it's pretty good size right there. Okay.
Pretty good.
Right. So they initiated well, and they kept their auto attackers alive. They kept their front line alive for considerably longer. We saw that Malf was put into an interesting position. The big thing in terms of starting that fight out, they had a dragon. And the DPS from the dragon is really
Good
not
point.
anything compared
That's a
to
really
what
good
they
point.
had in those previous fights. So that's why the fight started better for 2ARC, and it was smart of them to pick this time to bring it to EG, right? That was their window of opportunity while they're too busy pushing. Yeah, you have some CC in the way of the punt, but the AoE damage and the auto attacks, they're really meant for sieging.
Yeah.
And
that was
we
Jaina
saw it
the
at the
dragon,
end. It made a
so,
big difference
yeah.
at the end, of course, taking out that core. But that's why the team fight started so well for 2ARC. They were almost able to keep Illidan sustained through all those auto attacks.
It was very close. It was really
close. And there were a couple tipping points in there. EG was able to continue to sustain, keeping Uther and Malf alive. The heals were real.
Mouth died.
He did die towards the end.
Nope.
No?
First one to die.
I don't know what I was watching then. They still had a healer left.
Either way, they still
had a healer
they still had
left.
Uther, and Uther
They
did
did,
work,
yeah.
and that
Yeah.
was the story. And then it turned into like a mad dash of Asadia trying to stay alive, also known as Chubbs. But
No.
but the whole story of that was the Dragonite was already on the core at that point.
Right.
Like all this was happening.
Time was
Dragonite
bought.
says,
Time was purchased for Evil Geniuses. And
"What
that
are you
was
buying? Time. What are you selling?
Killing cores.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Go with that. Sounds good.
Game 1 went to Evil Geniuses. Congratulations. This is a best of 3, though, and 2ARC has plenty of opportunities. By that I mean 1 to come back and bring this to Game 3.
Plenty equals 1, guys.
Math.
Just so you know,
Just
in case
take
you weren't
things.
aware of that.
Yep. On that note,
Yep.
we are going to throw to a quick commercial break.
So stick around, guys. We'll be back in just a few.
Wub, and welcome back here to the ESL Major League Americas. I am Solid Jack Egg.
And I'm Kubi.
Cubus Maximus the third.
The third. Who are the first two?
That's
You don't know. All right,
I
remains
know.
to be seen.
I'm
Fair
not.
enough.
I didn't major in history when I went to college.
Genealogy is. I think
Genealogy.
that's what you're going for. It's family trees,
Oh.
family history.
Hmm.
Family history. Is that what you were going for? I'll give it to you.
Good.
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 We'll give it to him, chat.
Game number 2 going to be at Cursed Hollow. Cursed Hollow.
Okay, starting with this pronunciation thing again. So, funny story. I've always ragging on Jake for this. He's pronouncing it Cursed Hollow. So I look it up. I gotta look it up online. Multiple sources. You can pronounce it either way. Either way.
Esports.
Yeah. So
Either.
you're not wrong.
What's the deal with either?
I actually think there is a grammatical correctness there.
Kubi, you're so bad at English sports.
I know. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I've failed everyone. But okay.
We're not doing English sports here, though. We're
We are
doing
not.
esports. And Cursed Hollow is going to be the game here that
Every
it
time.
wasn't even intentional.
I know. You just can't stop now.
And the draft may already be underway, and
It
it
is.
actually has begun.
Indeed it is. All right. A ban on ETC and then a ban on Illidan from Evil Geniuses. How do you feel about that Illidan ban?
Well, they saw the power of it.
Did they?
They did. There was a few times where Illidan was at that tipping point, where Illidan
That's
was able to, if he had picked up that kill, he might have been able to get evasion up again and then go get another kill. And that's the power of Illidan, where if he's able to go and just keep going, well, he doesn't stop because he doesn't have mana. He's actually the Energizer Bunny in Heroes of the Storm.
Don't stop, won't stop. Can't stop.
Feeling in love.
What?
I don't know. Is that a song?
No, not to my knowledge.
All right, well, it is now.
Chat, let us know. Is that a song? Words are not, they're not coming to me there. All right. So, if I'm Evil Geniuses, I let them have Illidan. I think they looked pretty comfortable that game.
Yeah, no, they looked really good. EG played...
So it surprises me that they would ban out the Illidan in that particular situation.
Well,
That aside, we do see the ETC ban once again from 2ARC. This leaves the Stitches window open for Evil Geniuses. They do grab it. They take Stitches.
dude, the Stitches window is a scary thought. This window that hooks just keep flying out and just grabbing things and pulling it into. I'd never want to see a Stitches window in the real world. Like,
Could make a movie out of that.
no.
No.
Please.
Please
Do
no.
not make a movie called The Stitches Window.
Stitches window.
Hamma Slamma here on Cursed Hollow. And we're going to see both Uther and Tyrande picked going for... Tyrande, I like Tyrande a lot on this map. The Lunar Flare, powerful. It's a response to the Ravenous in some ways. Even though the Nazebo was picked up later.
I'm not really sure what they're going for here. What the theme is on the 2ARC side of things. Evil Geniuses is looking pretty standard. They're just going to try to build around Stitches as much as they can, picking up their solid damage. They're not prioritizing healer because they say it's very unlikely, especially after grabbing Tyrande, that they will pick up Malf. So they figure the Malf is pretty free to grab later.
Yeah.
We'll see. I would imagine they're going to leave it till the end and try to secure themselves a little bit more damage.
It's interesting. You're right. Malf makes a lot of sense here, but Rhaegar is still on the table. Based on what EG has, maybe Malf makes more sense. The wall, the root, the hook. There's a lot of synergy with that.
That's a good point. That's a fair point.
It's tough to say because Rhaegar is very powerful and a very strong hero. Just correcting myself about what I said earlier, Tyrande was in fact picked up as a response to Nazebo. So that was after the Nazebo came first.
Right,
I was just
okay.
kind of spacing out, but not going to talk about that point too much. Lunar Flare, very strong.
Extra range.
We're going to see what they want to go for synergy with that. Now, I actually liked. Okay,
There
Team
it is.
Tychus.
Yeah. So securing that damage, I figured that would be they can leave the healer. There's a couple healing options available for them that are pretty solid picks.
It kind of forces Rhaegar out of 2ARC.
I don't think so. It's just not like 2ARC. They play very aggressive. They like in-your-face style compositions. I don't see them picking up the double healer. It doesn't seem like them.
He's so good in EG's comp now, though. Rhaegar makes so much sense when you have the Test Tychus, because suddenly you have this threat of bloodlust. Are we going to see it? Unlikely. But the Odin, Archon, Oaken, if you will, when they merge together and they make
The Oaken.
is very powerful with Bloodlust. And Tyrael again.
Tyrael, yeah, like I was saying, they really like that aggressive style. They like to pick and choose those initiations. And now that we see that, absolutely it's going to be Rhaegar. Malf, I don't think makes too much sense. We'll see, though. They've been known to stump us with these last picks, Jake. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going to be one of the two. I don't think we'll see Brightwing.
Maybe it'll be Diablo.
No. It will not.
I would die. If they grabbed Diablo. Makes no sense. I realize that. It was a funny joke because last time he had no clue it was coming, and there it was, the Dibbles. But, it's got to be Rhaegar. It's got to be Rhaegar.
He's got the diversity. He gives that Odin so much room to dance around and be cheeky, and then there he is. Yep, Rhaegar is picked up.
There he is.
No surprise there. This comp has a lot of potential in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Getting stitches early is, I don't want to say unnecessary, but it's really nice in the sense that, like, if you can catch that hammer out of position with a nice zombie wall too, you can just blow hammer up. Because, yeah, boost is great, but it's definitely like going to be a game of try to pick the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrande also another healer that doesn't really have much of an escape. There's no boost. Like sprint is not, I think, is an option, but I don't know if I've ever seen it picked up at Tyrande. And Vala, of course, a little bit harder to kill, but it's going to be an interesting game. But I really like EG's draft.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I've not been too impressed with the efficacy of the Tyrael play these days. It just doesn't seem to have the... It was kind of questionable before to run solo Tyrael, and now with the Casticide taken away completely, I don't know. I've just not been convinced of it yet. Not to run him without another dive hero like Illidan. I could see it in the previous composition. It's a bit riskier play.
The double dive style.
Double dive.
You got
but now, with just him, we'll see. I mean, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I looking at the drafts, yeah, absolutely EG.
The double dive sounds like something I'd order at Denny's at like 2 a.m. when I'm just looking for that terrible thing to ingest. And if there was like...
What was that sandwich that was like 2 pieces of chicken with like another piece of chicken? Was it the double down or something? KFC double down sandwich.
Whoa. Gosh.
That sounds like what you're thinking of.
I feel sick thinking about it.
Double down dive. Let's go.
All right, game number 2 here between Evil Geniuses and 2ARC. The teams have swapped sides, which means I have work to do.
Production stuffs.
Sakubi, though.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your favorite in this game?
Who's my favorite? I always like to base this 100% on the draft. Completely unfair to do so, but I'm liking EG's picks here.
Okay.
The Tyrael play, while I wouldn't say that it was the sole reason they lost the game last time, I didn't really see it providing a huge burst in terms of being able to isolate and kill someone right away. That efficiency seems to have dropped a little bit. Yeah, Tyrande's there with the stuns, but I'm going to have to see. Obviously, they've practiced this quite a bit. They run this style a lot. It's up to 2ARC to show me the power.
Show me the power. Well, we got this 1-1-3 out of 2ARC Iliad in the blue trunks, and in the red trunks it's going to be Evil Geniuses. Once again, the teams have swapped sides, and we see a 1-1-3 out of them as well. Throwing that Oracle down in the middle lane to make sure LZ Gamer has no, unwanted friends in the area, and we see Quipsy potentially getting positioned to siege up onto that bottom tower.
Jake, it's time for Kubi's questions. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
Tyrande grabbing Hunter's Mark cooldown instead if they want to isolate and blow someone up really fast to have extra opportunities to do that. What do you think?
Well, it didn't happen.
I know, but do you think they should have?
On this map, I'm going to say no. They don't have the Stitches on their team. If they had Stitches, I would argue for it, yes, because you have more opportunities to do so, but Stitches on the flip side. I think on this map, having the Pierce, to have that guaranteed range or vision across the map, you can shoot, hit 2 or 3 people. Building into the Pierce in general on this map into the Sentinel in general, is quite powerful. So I like the call here. And everything in general in the talents, they're standard stuff. I think it's all pretty comfortable stuff we're seeing so far.
Yeah, we're seeing another slam build out of Stitches once again. It seems to be, at least for today, a lot of the Stitches that have been picked. And he has been picked every game, and they've all gone some either type of slam build or some combination of the two. but no traditional pure utility builds. There's always been some slam talents mixed in. People are liking that extra sustained DPS throughout those fights.
Yeah, it seems to be paying off in general. We're going to see Healing Word picked up here by Tyrande, and that's a weird one. The double Vamp Assault.
Now, I would think they would want to grab talents that would point towards extra burst damage.
Right.
That's all sustained stuff.
Oh, but Idra is going to get very low, and he's going to have to dash forward, getting on out of that situation. Healing Word coming out from Tyrande to keep the team alive, and notice Uther is sitting on top of it, making it harder to target. He's saying, look, I want to get the efficiency out of this, I want to get the full cooldown, and he does just that. So nice play there. And Quibsy, currently by himself, gets hit by that totem, and is going to concussive blast to get on out of this situation.
Does have the knockback. Don't recall him using his thrusters, so not needed in this situation. Smart of him too. Oh,
They were on
I
cooldown.
lied.
So they were still on cooldown.
Quite a bit of cooldown. I think it's 30 seconds. But yeah, I mean, you got to be careful when you're using those, as you can see. So we do have first tribute is spawning in the top side.
And there was a really early rotation out of 2ARC. Like, they were there, they were ready, these three stayed, so that was completely given up. 2ARC picked up the first tribute, and now we have Tyrande and Uther making their way back down across the map.
Pretty even in terms of levels here. You would have expected that if EG is going to continue to leave that presence in the bottom lane, they would have picked up a slight experience lead at the very least, grabbing those extra towers. Not the case here. Still have done a nice job soaking. So for the time being, things are looking slightly into ARC's favor.
So let's I mean, I'm trying to get my head around this the Vamp Assault. On Vala, you're giving up either, of course, the additional damage with the grenades that come out of your multi-shot,
Yeah.
or you're giving up Manticore, which is a lot of damage. And here you're giving up Maelstrom Shells. Also, is that just range?
That's range.
That's range.
That's 20% increase in range, which is a big deal, especially if you're going for that, obnoxious style of hammer that is get the hover siege or graduating range at 16 into Nexus Frenzy.
At 20,
That's a
yeah.
lot of extra range, extra damage output. It becomes really difficult to get to the hammer, and as long as the rest of the team's there to protect hammer, that's a pretty nice strategy. Now you notice the extra knockback on the concussive blast there. It was, as far as I understand it, pseudo buffed in this previous patch. There's a little bit extra knockback there. Makes it even harder to get to that hammer.
Yeah,
when
notice
you hit post level 16.
I mean, he didn't thrust there. His thrusters, of course, off cooldown.
Yeah.
Just able to kind of use that knockback and then slowly back up. The tribute, though, is spawning here, and they are posturing for a fight. Asadia in the front line, looking for that stun. The Storm was actually used to zone them out. Not going to be available for Trader, and Trader is able to pick up that tribute 2-1 in favor of 2ARC at this point in the game.
Yeah, Evil Geniuses, yes, they were able to take these giants. I would have expected a bit more of a push out of them. They sort of half-heartedly contested that top tribute. We'll have to see what their plan is moving into this third tribute that's going to be popping up in the next minute or so. Problem is, usually if you've gotten yourself to this point where you're down 2 tributes, you better have taken an advantage somewhere else, right? But that doesn't really seem to have made itself very clear. Yes, this wall is down, but they've got this hammer defending a bottom lane, and they're about a half level behind, and this might provide a pretty solid timing attack for 2ARC to pick up that level 10 just as this tribute spawns, and then Evil Genius is going to have no way to contest it.
Yeah, we see EG just pinged right here. They're saying tribute's going to spawn here. I think they are right. They're
absolutely right. It is going to spawn in either bottom middle, or bottom left.
Yeah, and
bottom left.
They made the correct call, but they don't have level 10 just yet. They have to pick up 10. We do see Starfall, Rain of Vengeance, Judgment, Napalm Strike, and Divine Storm. That Divine Storm followed up with the Lunar Flare is going to be able to pick off Asadia, or excuse me, not Asadia. That was Kawhi Rice getting picked off right quick on the side of EG. And this is going to be a curse. Trader has no one here at all remotely trying to contest him, as they know it's a 4v5 scenario. Very early 3-0 tribute pickup for...
I like what 2ARC did in that situation. They knew that they had... Evil Geniuses needed to grab extra experience, so they were going to stick around in that lane to make sure that they could pick up that EXP so they could try to hit 10 to contest. That's when 2ARC gets aggressive. They push them really far back. They say, you're either going to try to keep someone here in a dicey situation to soak that experience, or you're going to have to back up behind your wall and give it up. So it was smart. They made a play out of it, even because, Kawhi Race was a little bit too far forward. They got the Hunter's Mark into this way. We do see that Gorge going to Tyrael. He should be able to sort out over the wall. Yes, he does still have it. pretty wasted gorge there, unfortunately. You have to pick and choose your targets properly. As Stitches, Tyrael probably up there with Uther in terms of the last 2 people on the team that you want to grab with the gorge. Unfortunate for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, I mean, he's like an Illidan, Zeratul, Tyrael, those guys all have a get out. And nice hook there onto Acedia once again, but not going to be enough. This hammer just sieging at max distance to blow up this fort here. 3 seconds left on the curse, and it will then resume firing. But the Starfall goes down. LZ Gamer is very low right now. Trader dashes forward with a huge rain of vengeance, followed by that judgment, knocking LZ back. The Ravenous comes out. Trader is barely staying alive and will end up falling at the very end of that.
Yeah, we see that Idra has been isolated in terms of the Odin here. Really nice dash forward from Quibsy to interrupt that Ravenous Spirit. It could have done a lot of work. We saw Tyrael go over and throw his smite down on him. Not the case anymore. You can't cast aside, but still, like we said, Quibsy was there to knock that away. And that was a lot of Evil Genius's potential to come back in that fight. Not the case. Nicely cleaned up there from 2Arc. And they maintain a nice almost 2-level lead, 1.5 or so. But it's an important one to keep those talent advantage moving into the mid-game here.
And it looks like they're posturing here around the boss. Furious D just kind of scouting around. They do have the 100 mark, but the Clairvoyance comes down. This is EG revealing their position, but they're not afraid. They're going to throw a sentinel out, just scouting their position, saying, okay, no one's coming around here. They must be up at the boss themselves, and that's exactly what Evil Genius is doing.
And this is a situation where, yeah, I like what Evil Genius is doing here. It's very unlikely that 2Arc is going to be able to get up there to try to capitalize or punish them for taking this golem. I think the 2Arc had the right to initiate taking their golem, considering the talent advantage they have. Now we're on even footing, at least in terms of those talents. Let's see what we
now Kubis barricade was picked up again.
Yeah,
We've seen this a few times.
I see that. This is 2Arc has been running the barricade, and with the extra knockback, it's another thing that's added to that list of things that makes it more difficult to get to the hammer. So the longer this game goes on, the harder it's going to get for Evil Geniuses. Yeah, there's some nice pickups. We'll see what Idra ends up grabbing at level 20. Odin with Nexus Frenzy can get quite scary. Not quite as scary as Hammer, I would say, though, at that level. So Evil Geniuses definitely needs to turn things around. They need to get those hooks to isolate those targets. They have Gorge. They can absolutely do it. They just need to capitalize.
Well, we'll see what they can do here. Now, the mule was picked up by EG. EG knows that this tribute spawned on the side of the map where 2Arc was defending. So they say, look, we're not going to make it to the tribute. There's no way in hell, so let's just push this bottom lane, and that's what we're seeing. We have Kawaii Rice here soaking the mid lane. They're just kind of weighing their losses and trading out with a fort here. Nice call, nice heads-up play.
So all the cooldowns for the heroics, they're off. Everyone has their heroics up. There's no talent differential between the two teams. I actually would have liked to have seen Evil Geniuses get a little bit aggressive there. I think that if you're going to make pick a time to try and get a comeback, it's not going to be through trading forts, and they need, there we go, that's a very nice hook into Gorge, and 2Arc was getting a little bit too aggressive. There's absolutely no way that Trader can get out. Yeah, she does throw down that Rain of Vengeance, so that's not going to allow the rest of the team to combo up. And we see a nice pickup. That's the kind of stuff that they need to do, so why didn't they do that sooner? They had an opportunity before to do it. Now they're at a talent disadvantage. Still, they have the hero, so they can contest this tribute that's spawning in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I think they just kind of had to cut their losses. That was their mentality. But you make a good point. Now they are down 16 to 15. The talent advantage is here. Even though they have a level advantage, that makes it kind of okay. But no, 2Arc is actually just going to back on now. Give this one up. First tribute of the game going to the side of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, that's a good turnaround. They made a good pick there. Gorge the right target. That's absolutely what they need to continue to do to get that level advantage back. I think it was definitely the smart play for 2Arc to back up in that situation. They still had Vala down for another 10 seconds before they could even thought about contesting that tribute. It's not a critical one, still 1-1 in this situation. So what would you like to see the teams do now at this point?
Well, all right, so level 16 has been picked up. Right now, it's just EG needs to wait, soak up, hit 16.
I agree.
At that point in time, they've got to get those picks. They don't want to engage at full. They're losing every single time they engage at full. The judgments have been on point, stopping that Ravenous, and if it's not, we're seeing boosts out of Quibsy to get in there. The hook here, but that's not the target you want. I'm glad Gorge wasn't used.
The patience is important there. Yes. And we saw the Gorge previously, and then he just swords over the wall. So And also, you have to consider, like you said, 16's not there for Evil Geniuses yet. They need to remain patient.
They're very close. So they are very close. So when they hit 16, that's when they can try to get another hook here. They're so close. It's got to be incredibly frustrating. As this creep wave does get a little bit closer here, they're going to be able to pick up that kill. All right, 16 has been hit. Pallets are there. That's the target you want. They have Furious D. They need to blow him up. Shrink Freeze here. Finucci goes in forward. Here's the Starfall, but they're going to be able to get this kill. Now, that Ravenous going in, that ancestral healing was so on
That's
point.
an ancestral.
And
yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what they needed. They got the kill. They have no losses here. The explosion out of Tyrael did a lot to these guys, but now they can move on in as they took a 2-0.
Mm-hmm. If you have a pick comp, you got to play to the pick comp.
The barricade is going to zone out for this tribute just long enough.
That was a cool play.
It's going to be a trade,
was it worth it? I don't know. Cool play. It was neat, but unfortunately the hook threw him right over his own wall.
Yeah.
That's a taste of his own medicine, and they end up trading out here. And are they going to... I'll have to check to see what the cooldown is for this boss. 35 seconds, so they're going to shove a little bit. They're going to continue. They're going to take these towers down, and then they're going to move right back while they have this positional advantage. They still have another 20 seconds available to them. It's dicey as to whether they feel as though they can cap this golem, but it's on the table.
I mean, they take out this wall, and that opens up the gates for that golem when the time does come. So that's a nice little play. Like you said, another 12 seconds remaining on this bottom golem. Top golem has got another 25 seconds, and they are going to play it safe. Looks like they might actually be retreating back to their top golem, as they know.
Okay, with this tribute spawning, makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And it looks as though they are going to Arcas. Of course, they're going to give up this tribute. Again, it is not a critical tribute. They're not. EG's not going to get a curse from it. So 2Arc will give this one up. They will take their boss and possibly even try to posture a little bit for this top one. I don't know if they'll get there in time. They might be able to.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be very close.
Nah, they won't be. It's not going to be fast enough.
Yeah,
so they're going to push with it, maybe? No.
No, they're just gonna pick a fight here. Now that Owl will reveal their location, just smacking ZPs, delivering one package, and the boss is picked up on each team's respective side. EG does have a mule, and that's one thing you have to think about in this game. There's only one mule in the entire game, and that's on Nazebo, and that mule is doing work in this middle keep. Nice hook, but again, no gorge, because that's not the target you want to gorge.
So one thing I should bring up before this fight starts, I don't know if we'll have time, we do see a couple of these abilities, skill shots getting thrown down. Just some posturing from both teams. We see Acedia, exactly, look at his positioning. He's blocking for that hook. He wants to make sure that Quibsy is not the target of that hook. ZPs is trying to rotate around, try to get that position. Yes, and he gets gorged. So the thing is, he pops out, he gets that Divine Storm. We'll see how it plays out.
Idra is really out of position, popping that Odin, so if they want to try to blow him up, they can, but their focus is trying to keep Acedia alive. Acedia will be the first one to fall, but they do switch over to Idra. Again, Ancestral is still available at this point in time, so EG has every right to move on in and try to pick off more kills. Panucci is going to get hooked. Lunar Flare was used preemptively, and that's going to be a kill with the Feral Lunge out of Kwai Rice.
Really nicely played. Once again, they were able to capitalize on the hooks, although Uther's not who you want to hook. They still made it work. I was surprised how long he held on to the Divine Storm. He waited for quite a while, and it didn't really see any need for that, especially when you consider the Divine Storm into sprinting out. Probably his best chance for making it. He survived longer than I thought he would, but him staying any amount of time other than just Divine Storming and sprinting out, letting Tyrael try to get in there to peel for you, you're going to have a dead Uther either way.
So here's the interesting thing. They did succeed in getting the keep, so that's a nice win. And then they succeeded in picking up the curse. But they're not going to get any aggression out of the curse. This curse just forces them to be able to kind of know that they're going to be safe.
Yeah, it's like a status quo
back.
thing, right? The push from each team will probably be about even. Then the problem is, this gives EG a lot of leverage moving forward in terms of what they want to do, picking up the tributes. They can give up 2 whole tributes and try to take map objectives elsewhere, be that golems, be that taking giant camps, trying to get a solid giant mercenary camp push, whatever they choose to do. Yes, they are down that 1 keep. They're also quite a bit closer to level 20 than 2Arc is. They have more options, and having this nullified curse is a big deal. We see ZP setting up for a potential hook here. It's going to be a guess hook. Doesn't quite have vision on the rest of 2Arc, so
that catapult got wrecked, though. Look at that thing. Good night.
You could say he was fishing for that one? Oh, God.
You could.
What have I done? What have I become?
All right, Sham Bam 2.0. All right, these Giants being cleared up in the top lane. The Mule, a continuing thing that they have available. This bottom lane is going to be aggressed upon by 2Arc Iliad. All 5 in position. Panucci, not the target you want to hook once again, but that's just good positioning on his part, being in front of his team. Lunar Flare is going to connect with Idra, and the Starfall is being used. That's going to be a nice Gorge, and LZ Gamer is going to have to use that Dimensional Warp to get on back. Divine Storm, but the Ancestral Healing is on point. Sadia just barely staying alive, but ZPs will be the first one to fall in this fight.
Let's see what I think they should back up here. Absolutely. We do have the Ravenous Spirit that was saved until this point, and it looks as though they should be able to get a pickup on Trader here. No, not quite. Still, though, I think the Evil Geniuses has every opportunity to chase here. Nice concussive blast there from Quibsy. Was probably the only thing that's going to keep him alive, considering the route that could have gone down. He does have that 90% slow on the route at level 16 picked up. That could have been a very dead Quibsy.
Yeah, and we're looking at level 20 here for EG2, so it's 4v4, but level 20 has been picked up. I gotta say, though, this Vampiric Assault on Quibsy has been doing wonders for him. He's constantly just getting big chunks of health. You see him even almost healing through that Side Storm, and it's actually doing quite a bit. They're going to be able to get a second keep here.
Yeah, and that's going to give them a lot more pressure in each of these lanes. Actually, Evil Genius is getting quite pushy here. When they don't have Stitches up, I'm not sure if I agree with it. It does get them to push back, and they don't sustain any losses for it. So, yeah, hindsight, it was the better play to make. Risky, though.
They push him back as soon as the keep fell, though. That's my problem with the situation.
Sadia
will get hit by that wall. That's going to be a nice near pickup, but the knockback to Divine Storm. Lunar Flare combo. Faye is going to fall. Kwai Rice will fall. Not going to be enough.
Oh, it's all going to depend on how they're able to clean up the rest of this fight here. Would you see the hook going down? You don't have any more targets to Gorge, unfortunately. Trader is very low. They can't afford the loss there. Nice heal. And it's a 3v3 situation. Very even, all things considered. And Panucci is back in the fight. I think this is going to mean as he back up. Wow, he fell so fast there.
Man.
Still a trade, though. ZP is taking that Rain of Vengeance, and that hurts quite a bit. Panucci's going to be able to clean up the rest of that kill. LZ Gamer is the only remaining member of Evil Genius's area what does manage to pick up an additional trade. Furious D shouldn't be able to grab him, and I think this is going to be them backing up in a 4-for-3 situation in the end.
Wow, what a crazy back and forth. Very even fight. Both teams are 20. This game is actually, in terms of team fights, so very close.
Yes, it is considerably close. Well, I mean, the hooks up until that fight had been very impactful. They've been capitalizing on them very well. That fight, however, we saw the hook go down on, I think, Panucci early, and then they were able to eliminate Stitches out of the fight, so the threat was gone. That's what's been initiating those fights for them. So 2Arc took that opportunity. They made a lot of pressure. We saw Evil Geniuses shove them back from that bottom lane, but then they ended up overextending a little bit into that Divine Storm. So 2Arc basically took what fell into their lap and capitalized on it. And it was a small trade for them, but it gave them, I would say, a bit more, even things out. Look at the levels; they're pretty close. They were able to get an extra keep out of it. 2Arc's definitely in the lead here.
Yeah, they definitely have the advantage. I mean, like you said, 2 keeps down. You can't scoff at that. 1 tribute away from a curse, though, is Evil Geniuses. And if they can pick up that curse after a team fight, they can get a lot of aggression and potentially even end the game just on one big play. We hit the 20-minute marker. Death timers have gotten significantly longer.
There's that owl.
They're opting to give it up. So the Sentinel will reveal that Evil Geniuses is down here, and this is going to just spark an immediate boss trade on each side of the map.
Okay. So the position is pretty. Ooh, what is this though? I don't know why they gave this up. They can't get up there. They can't possibly get up there in time to stop it.
This is like a really weird play.
And then they show in middle lane. I don't know about any of this. That was really okay. So the problem with that is, if you trade, yeah, that's fine. You're gonna have equal pressure. There's still a keep in each lane. I'm okay with them trying to set up a weird play or party bush, but everybody showed to that creep wave in the middle. The vision was absolutely there for 2Arc. They could see what they were trying.
If they just kill the boss and Hearth back, they're in a much better position. They do get the hook here onto Quibsy, though. Lunar Flare is going to be whiffed. Nothing connecting with that. And we see that Rain of Vengeance coming out. Immediately the Judgment response, and Hammer is just deleted right quick. The Ravenous Spirit going to town onto Trader. The Healing Ward is going to keep him alive, but Idra is going to clip him with the Q out of the Odin. Panucci will be the next one to fall here. The hook there, just for good measure, to get some damage onto Idra, I suppose. And well, that was really good. That's what they needed to do. Kind of a weird call. They're going to end up losing this keep. No keeps left on their side of the map. And so, whoa, and Asadia picks up another curse. 3 curses in a row going to 2Arc.
Oh, geez, that whole play was really questionable. Yeah, they ended up getting a really nice hook over that wall. It was a guess hook, though. I don't think they had any vision of that situation.
Yes, I think you're right.
So they ended up getting the right target. Two Arcs should have known that they were at least somewhere nearby, and it was surprising to me that they caught themselves in a situation that would allow for that type of play to even exist in the first place. That said, the way that EG handled the rest of the situation was very nice. The Ancestrals have been very much on point.
Where's the mule? They're going to lose. This is over.
I have no words.
They didn't respond. The mule had been used.
I mean, they went back. They cleaned up the golem.
You think the task would be like, hey guys, I need one more to help me. Like, I
don't know. Like I said, they were already back there. They were at the core. They cleaned up the golem.
Game 3, boys.
We're going to game number 3.
Okay. Scratching my head a little bit.
Some questionable play at the end there. Just again with that hook over the wall. If that hook had missed, what was their plan afterwards?
Right.
They had a golem pushing down in that lane.
Right.
That's, I mean, 16 seconds of free time.
You kill that bottom golem. You hearth back. You're fine. Like you're fine. You're
like I said, yeah, the trade situation was dead even for both teams. They were still keeping each lane. So that was, like I said, whatever. It panned out for them. But then, I mean, what happened at the end? It was just a miscalculation from the team. There's no other way to spin that. They thought they had it clear. They were trying to maximize the window of opportunity they had with the members of 2ARC being dead, having taken a very favorable team fight there. Misjudged that window, ended up biting them.
They were in a bad spot to begin with. They didn't have any keeps left. At that point, catapults in all 3 lanes. At that point, you're really vulnerable to dives and stuff. But the thing is like, I don't know what sniped the mule, if it was a catapult or what, but the mule is like the saving grace. I would say, hey, you're dead, you lose, if you don't have mule. But in that situation, in theory, if you hold on, you can keep that core at 100% health, constantly keep healing it back up with the mule, and you're in a decent position. But
yeah, the core doesn't die. I think EG was pulling ahead.
Yeah, I would agree.
Especially with that boss that they were about to go take that they had forsaken earlier.
They had aggression at that point.
They did.
And I think they just, again, miscalculation.
Yeah,
like
they wanted to maximize their window, and it just backfired a little bit.
Yeah, cost them. So we're going to find out what our third map of the series is going to be, guys.
We'll be back in just a few minutes, so stick around.
Guys, welcome back here to the ESL Major League.
I'm adjusting my mic, says Solid
Guys,
Jake.
welcome back here to the ESL Major League Americas. This guy's Kubi.
That's right. Kubi's a little busy right now. Tell him why, buddy.
And I'm Jack Egg, and Kubi is creating the lobby. Now, the way the game works is actually Game 1, one team hosts. Game 2, second team hosts. Game 3, we host. That's just making sure there's no host advantage in the best of 3 series, and the way the whole hosting works is based on seeding, placement, the draft. There's a lot of variables that I don't actually know the exact details of, to be honest with you.
Yep. So
I just know we host Game 3.
that's a fun thing. Fun thing that we have to do. Let me just check to see if they need to switch sides. That'll be good for you, so you know ahead of time. How about that last game, man?
It's a good game. That was a good game. And you got me thinking about switching sides, and I'm all worried about that now. Yeah, just the end of it was a bit weird. The whole, we're going to abandon the boss in the bottom. We're just going to abandon it. And then we're going to try to do something sneaky, and then stop to clear the middle lane, which they have complete and total vision of. They managed to get the pick with the hook, and they managed to take a few members out to give them a bit of a momentum swing, which is good. But by not clearing out that bottom boss, that entire bottom lane, which had catapults, pushed out, causing a lot of aggression. They then made a miscall by leaving only Tassadar, which wasn't sufficient to keep those lanes cleared and defend. You're talking catapults in all 3 lanes and a pair of siege giants that he had to defend by himself. Tas can clear pretty well, but obviously not well enough because that core was dropping. The mule, maybe they just miscalculated because the mule, I think it died. I think something killed it.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it get dropped, and I'm not sure what it would have ended up killing it. Maybe they just had bad positioning on the mule. I don't know. But misplays were made.
It's true.
For sure.
Curse was another thing. They had just picked up that tribute with one of their 2 remaining members. That also has a big factor, especially with the catapults pushing in at least 2 out of the 3 lanes. Of course, the catapults from that 3rd lane wasn't quite there yet. But so we're waiting on 1 more member to get into the lobby, and then we should be good to go. We'll let the teams know that we are good to draft. Panucci, you're killing me here.
He has declined. Terrible, terrible. But the 3rd map of the series is going to be Garden of Terror.
I always like to call this EG's map. They enjoy going here, but it's not EG's choice, of course. As far as I understand it, losing team strikes out. Oh, no, never mind. I lied. It is EG's choice. Right, losing team.
They won game 1?
Is that how it works? Strikes out a map?
Losing team.
No. Winning team strikes out a map.
Ultimately,
so EG striked
team,
out one of the maps,
yes.
and then the losing team picks from the remaining pool.
Yes.
So yes,
So
2
ultimately,
Arc
it was
has
EG's
chosen.
pick. Yeah.
No, 2 Arc has chosen to go here.
2 Arc just won. EG's the
Oh
losing
jeez!
team.
Oh, that's how crazy that game was. Completely forgot.
So
yeah,
this is
don't
EG's
listen
map.
to me. Jake's right.
This is EG's map. This was their
Yes.
counter pick. Losing team has the advantage. They lost that last game. So, again, like you said, EG likes this map. They picked it.
Yep.
And we're going to be going to Garden of Terror Game 3. It looks like we have all 10 members. They're saying they are ready to roll. And the draft will begin in just a moment,
Yes,
guys.
it will. So what kind of crazy strategies will we see here? Again, does 2 Arc continue to play an aggressive style, aggressive composition? Does Evil Geniuses pre-draft a composition that just blind counters this? We'll have to see.
Viking boys!
One can only hope.
All right, so the Mad Cow, the Mad Moor,
The Mad Cow.
has been banned out. And Kubi, we still have no idea what that beautiful
The pastures.
what that was. That one game on Dragonshire, that fateful day.
Was it Dragonshire? You remember the map? It was a very impactful moment of your life.
It
wasn't
was the left side giants on Dragonshire. We were just crossing right over the wall that lines the where the giants are in the bottom fort, and we just hear. I will never forget
It was
it.
very distinct.
I just relive that memory as often as I possibly can.
You wake up in the morning. Remember the moo.
Remember the moo.
That's his
Alamo?
message his phone gives him when he wakes up.
Zebo, ETC are going to be the 2 bans here, and 2 Arc opts for a very quick first pick onto the hammer. Now, this is a map where level 20 is going to be hit pretty much no matter what. Garden of Terror tends to go pretty long.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment.
And Nexus Frenzy kind of makes Hammer an okay hero.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty fair. We did see a nerf on the knockback mines, the barricade, bullhead mines.
Bullhead,
Sorry, guys. Yep. So normally Hammer would grab Bullhead Mines at 13, Extra Mines at 16, and it just creates a lot of confusion in fights, makes it difficult to get to the Hammer. Now, no longer the case. That has been changed so that only one of the three, the middle mine, is the only one that knocks back a little further. That said, this has shifted the quote-unquote meta for Hammer. Now it's get that extra, those damage talents, the extra range at 16, whether that be Hover Siege mode or graduating range, and then going into Nexus Frenzy, which is 20% more range, 20% more attack speed. Gets real scary real fast.
It does. It really does. But, well, we're seeing Illidan once again. This is the third game in a row in this series where we've seen Illidan played. Swap sides.
That's a good point.
And we're seeing TAS Illidan as the first picks. Response is they're going for the top tier healer of Uther, Tyrande. Does EG now have to make sure they don't get Rhaegar and Uther?
Wait, what? Excuse me? I don't. What do you?
Do they deny Rhaegar? Does EG deny Rhaegar for Turek? Do they pick up Rhaegar
I think it
now?
just makes a lot of sense to grab Rhaegar.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's being a denial play. I think
It's
just
both. It's both.
With Illidan, especially, he's going to be diving in. He's going to be getting himself into trouble. It's a nice pickup.
You want that big mega burst heal. The strongest heal in the game, of course, has that big wind-up time, but still has a lot of power. So Rhaegar is going to be there. They still need to pick up a single tank and some deeps.
And I should also point out that the Ancestrals were very on point last game. So I have some faith in Kawhi Rice here that the Ancestrals will also be well timed. Game 1, on the 2-arc side of things, not quite as hot. So we've seen the good Rhaegar play before. I think that they can make this composition work.
Well, they're thinking.
Well, now.
They're thinking. Probably going to leave that tank for last. Do they go for the Vala value? What they do?
The Vala value.
The Vala value. Picked up there. She is, of course, an incredibly powerful ranged assassin, a lot of utility, a lot of diversity. You want to go multi-shot? You go multi-shot. You want single target? You go single target. You want some stuns? You go Rain of Vengeance. She got it all.
Is she? Would you say that she's a Swiss Army knife?
No.
No.
It's Tassadar.
That's Tassadar. So they're both Swiss Army knives?
No. She's like a Swiss Army sword.
Jake, those don't exist.
Swiss Army knives like open cans and
what would a Swiss Army sword look like?
Guys, you draw us a Swiss Army sword and send us those pictures on Twitter.
The best Swiss Army sword gets beta key.
I will honor that.
All right.
The best Swiss Army sword will get a Heroes of the Storm beta key.
Someone has to be wielding the Swiss Army sword. I don't want an oversized pocket knife. All right. I want a giant sword. Someone doing something silly.
Better
with
yet,
Swiss Army sword.
Better yet, I want to be wielding that Swiss Army sword.
You want to be wielding it? All right, Jake. You go for it. You can be King Arthur.
Or Kubi.
Sword in the Swiss Army
I want to
stone.
be impaling Kubi with that sword. All right. Zeratul and Stitches gonna be picked up. Kubi's actually dead.
Please never utter that phrase ever again. I can only shake my head. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about that Zeratul. Have we seen him today?
All right, getting myself together.
Jake is shocked. We've seen Evil Geniuses run Diablo before.
I'm sorry for all of your ears. Let me apologize. The Lord of Terror just
he stepped in. He
has
stepped
this effect
into
on
the
me.
building.
He has this effect on me. Okay, we're seeing it happen again.
That's just a devil's grunt. All right, what's the general? I mean, This means that they don't feel comfortable running Muradin, but are they trying to protect something? I mean, not really. I mean, the extra peel is nice for Illidan, but does he offer that much more control than say Muradin would in
What,
Avatar?
Barney?
Barney is extra points. You are correct about that. Oh, you did go Barney.
He went Barney.
All right.
ZP's going Barney
we're
build.
both ready here. We are going to get started here into game number 3 between 2-Arc Iliad and Evil Geniuses. This is it. This is for all the marbles. This is a big one.
And we're going to see a dinosaur in this game.
We are. We're hoping for Vikings. This is probably second best. The Dibbles. It's back in
I'm
action.
stretching. I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
No Vikings, but I got to be in full caster fitness here for the Barney of the Dinosaur cast. It's going to be Guard of Terror for game number 3. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Dibbles. Once again, we saw this last week. It didn't work. Will it work this time? We're going to find out here next time on Diablo Ball Z. And it's going to be Tuark Iliad on the right side. So I got to swap everything over.
You had time.
You didn't tell me what
I
side
did
they're
tell
on.
you this.
I
totally told you this. I was like, all right, they're asking to swap sides right now. All right, you know what? Fine. Whatever. It's no big deal. On the red side, we have Tuark Iliad. And, of course, on the blue side, the west side of the map, we have Evil Geniuses.
Wii Sports? Look at that. It's Barney on
A carpet. I mean, he's doing the surf thing. I really like that. It's like, what's a good surfer word? Tubular?
God, that skin
they
is
like
so
tubular?
good. I need to buy this skin.
You need the carpet first. Magic carpet.
I'm not esports enough for the carpet. All right. Well, looking at the builds, we are going to see Soul Feast at the level 1 here for Diablo. Pretty standard pick that, of course, gives him the additional regen and all that good stuff available based on the number of souls that he has. Pretty standard stuff. We see. Is this going to be a roam?
They could make it work.
That could be pretty cool.
That's a lot of flips. Many flips.
That is actually an entire gymnasium.
It's a whole bag of flips. Chocolate flips? Yeah.
If Diablo wins here, I'm going to buy Kubi a bag of flips.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I like the sound of that. I really like flips. It's good.
And if
good
Diablo
food.
loses, Kubi's going to buy me a bag of flips.
Oh, we're doing a flips bet on this one?
Flips bet.
Okay.
You
All
heard
right.
it
You
here
know what?
live.
All right, fine. All right, you're on. You're on. I'm feeling the Diablo this time. All right, so.
I can taste those flips already.
Taste the flips.
Well, pretty standard stuff across the map. Zerto will continue to roam around, and it looks like the Idra ZP's Diablo Illidan combo is going to get hit by a beautiful package of that Hedwig, delivering 2 full letters.
2 full letters. So Diablo build. Oh, yeah, okay.
Faye?
We do see Faye. That's going to be pretty dicey. Trader. Oh, the blink was good. Almost in the perfect spot to block. I don't know if it still would have been enough. Well, that would have been crazy.
I had to hold my breath for that.
That would have been. Faye would not have been happy with herself there, I'm sure. So, what can we expect from the Diablo build here? The few times we've seen Diablo played in the past, it has been grabbing the extra souls, or the extra regen, and HP pool from the souls, amplified healing. I'm blanking. Oh, I think it's actually battle momentum at 7. Because APOC, if he chooses to go APOC, does have that really high.
I mean, it's hard to say. We haven't. It's going to be interesting because Diablo's a hero that we see so infrequently that they might be doing weird things. Yes, battle momentum definitely became very popular, more so with Lightning Breath, but it's still very good with the Apocalypse as well. So it's going to be a lot of this is going to be up to ZP just kind of holding our hand. Here for this match, really showing us what he wants to do. And we're going to see the Amplified Healing going for that sustained style already.
All right, Jake, hear me out. Crazy theory time. Bloodlust, APOC, Illidan doing his thing. That'd be fun, don't you think?
That would be really cool.
I don't think we're going to see it, guys. But just in an alternate reality, that'd be a fun fight to watch. I will say that. I
would love nothing more. I miss Bloodlust dearly as an orc boy myself.
It's true. It was quite exciting. But there was a lot of banning of Rhaegar back in the day because of those Bloodlust comps.
And with the fall of Brightwing in popularity and power, it could be something that becomes more
Hear that,
powerful.
pro teams? I think there's a window of opportunity for Bloodlust play to be getting in here.
It's not out of the question because teams are thinking of it less and less and less. And if they don't have those free disengages available, it's something that we could see rise. But that's not going to be in this game here, I don't think. Well, we'll find out. And we see these seeds, of course, are being heavily contested. All 10 members fighting over this plant terror in the top portion of the map. That Slamma-Jamma coming down.
Kawhi Rice gets slammed there, and there's a hook appropriately going down. And it looks as though CDO is snatching in. Idra getting a lot of value on his auto attacks. CP's caught in the middle of things, gets Hunter's marked. Is it going to be enough damage? Oh, not quite enough. Uther does fall.
Nicely done by EG. They're getting the 1 kill, picking up the Uther, who is still in ghost mode. Idra is going to get hit by the same respect, and the hook picking up the kill 1 for 1 at this point in time. But with ZP's hitting the wall, gets the flip and the knock forward there onto Panucci. That was really just like that's how much more fluid Diablo is of a hero. Before that would be so much more sluggish seeming, but
that's true.
He seems so much more light on his feet. I think he's really been hitting the gym.
We can see that he's taken up surfing. That has improved his agility 5-fold. He's now able to flip people over his head. He's so strong now. Gosh. Just Loving that Diablo there. It had a lot of impact in terms of especially picking up that Stitch kill. He almost died really early on in that fight, but the good shield going down there.
Well, we see they're going to be cleaning up this bottom planet terror as well. The seeds presently very evenly distributed, but the Sadia is going to get flipped and knocked back, and that's a very decisive kill. So far, this Diablo is looking wondrous. Lunar Flare gonna hit Dibbles, not going to be enough. We see the Concussive Blast coming back, knocking Idra back on in, but that's just going to be another flip on a Panucci and another kill.
The body blocks are just too real. They're way too real. I mean, has Tuark even seen? Have they even seen Diablo play?
Do they even know what this hero is?
He's widely regarded as a hero that is just not played. He's not worth being played.
Now,
but if you haven't seen it before, do you know how to play against it? Even if
it's
suboptimal.
Does this mess with your head? Do you say Diablo's bad? This shouldn't beat us. Is that like a mentality? Is that a bad mentality? Do you think the players are just shrugging it off, saying, "All right, we just need to play more safe. We need to watch for the flips, and we need to play accordingly"?
I'll answer your question with two parts. One, I don't know Tuark well enough to know if they're the type of team that likes to tilt. And two, yeah, that's a pretty bad mentality to have overall.
All I'm thinking right now is I don't want to buy you a bag of flips.
Yeah, but it's
and
looking
these flips
pretty real.
Are so real right now.
We do have that level 10 for Evil Geniuses, Strafe, Ancestral Healing, Apocalypse is grabbed, Archon, and Metamorphosis.
No Bloodlust.
No Bloodlust, but still, there's a lot of opportunity, especially if a huge APOC is hit. Illidan can get some work done with those auto attacks. All he needs is just a little bit of time, and he can turn those team fights around for you.
All right, well, I like this a lot out of EG. They're doing this split push. They threw the Idra into the Garden Terror in the top lane, and he's just going to town there. Just Trader defending, doing a decent job chipping away at this Terror, but in the meantime, they've gotten all this experience. They have the 1-level lead, and they've gone to the middle lane to make sure they push Panucci back, who is getting a free push in the middle lane.
All right, Jake, don't look at the talents. What heroics do you think Tuark should grab to try to turn this around?
All right, Napalm's a given. Tyranda's got to get Starfall.
Okay.
I don't think they can do anything weird.
All right. Let me just ask about Stitches then, because that's really the only one that you're gonna get a crazy pick.
Oh, if they're getting flipped, he might need the extra mobility for Bile. Did he go Bile? He got Bile.
He got Bile.
He got
Jake,
Bile.
you're so smart.
I swear I didn't look.
So smart. I swear he didn't look. Yeah, okay. All right.
All right. Well,
Illidan cleaned up the fort, the top lane there. That, of course, was the Garden Terror for a good chunk of that. And what is the play now from Tuark? They find themselves down about a level and a half, and that's going to be a big deal. And about a half level for Evil Geniuses. A bit of a rotation on from either side. The VP is still available.
Oh, there is the Bile, but ZP's is getting blown up. The Ancestral is there just in time, but does it matter? Idra in the back line going after Furious. There's the Apocalypse you talked about. And Trader gets lifted into the air and just chokehold, bringing him down into the ground. What do they call that? Is he the Undertaker?
The Undertaker. That was... They wanted to kill ZP so bad that they all lined up and sat on the APOC, and they got crushed for it. There's no way to spin that. It was a very nice Ancestral Healing. Once again, Kwai Rice is very on point with that. I don't even think... from this series so far, I haven't seen him really miss any Ancestrals. He hasn't.
They've all been on point.
They've been very nice. ZP's got down to like less than 5% HP. They healed him back up. Tuark was sticking around longer than they wanted to. The APOC went down, and it got messy from there.
And
they got a 3-for-1.
And the other thing about ZPs is he's at max efficiency. He's got 100 souls.
He does.
Souls. And that the souls means that he's got the additional regen from the level 1 talent, and he has a free get out of jail card where he just respawns immediately. Essentially a resurgence stack.
That's a good point. That is 100 souls though, so as soon as you do kill him, he does lose all of that efficiency on his HP, and he's getting aggressive. He has that extra range on his Shadow Charge at 13, and he's getting aggressive on the Stadia there. No, really nice Lunar Flare from Furious Siege. Disengage that. Also the Future Bile going down.
Really clutch. Well done.
They baited it out at the very least. They got a heroic out of that situation. Didn't end up spending any of theirs.
Kwai pretty low on mana at this point in time, so that's something they do have to be wary of. And he does have Farsight instead of the Feral Heart, so his mana efficiency is going to be pretty poor, but it doesn't mean he can't top the wall very soon. Level 13 was picked up by Evil Geniuses, and it's just going to be more and more aggression in Diablo, actually going for the Crippling Shadows.
Yeah, that's the extra range on the Shadow Charge. That's what allowed him to jump into that fight from such a large distance. It's nice, and now that the combo works a lot better, he can Shadow Charge in and guarantee that he gets that flip, giving his team time to get there, of course, to capitalize on the situation, which makes him all the better. Are we seeing the resurgence of Diablo, Jake?
I don't know.
Is one game enough to tell? I don't know.
I mean, it's very convincing stuff here. This is the only team we've seen even try it, and it is looking significantly more convincing than last week's play. Last week, I was not sold on it, but right now, I am all about this life. The Dibbles is real. Sham 2, I hope you're watching, because you are going to sleep like a baby tonight.
How do you beat this, Jake? What does 2ARC do to beat this?
Well,
getting a Garden Terror? Perhaps.
I mean, the Terror helps, but it just gives an aggression. There's Terror on both sides of the team. The first Terror was, in fact, picked up on the side of 2ARC, so there's a little bit more duration on the side here for Evil Geniuses. And they're just continuing to do this split push style. So they're disregarding the Terror in the top lane. Is once again going to be Idra in the Terror, pushing down the middle lane, while the 4 members are in a 4v4 battle, putting the special bottom lane. But looks like EG is changing up their strat, and they are rotating.
Oh!
It's going to be LZ Gamer. It's going to be a hard target to kill. They do the full combo, and he's going to get the pressure.
Still be dead with the slam.
Oh, the Lunar Flare. He has the increased duration. The shielding comes out. The Ancestral went off on himself. Quirace made a massive mistake. He meant to click onto LZ Gamer, which would have kept him alive, but he used it on himself.
Ooh, that hurts. I think we might have jinxed him. Caster's Curse just a little bit there. Just talking about how his ancestral healings have been so on point up until this moment, but yeah, that cost them a little bit. And another hook going down on Idra. This is, of course, just a positional thing. They want to buy more time so they can burn down that plant terror and just eventually get less efficiency out of it, of course, right?
Yeah.
Trader has found himself in a bit of a dicey situation. Of course, he is Zeratul, but no double blink available.
Oh, that would have been huge.
That would have been probably a dead Zeratul if they had followed up on it. All right, so we did see that nice hook. That landed themselves to a pretty nice team fight for them. They were just a little bit off on the...
There's that flip Shadow Charge once again,
okay,
and the big
Void
VP
Prison
goes down.
That's something that we haven't seen play a huge factor into these team fights. Is it just disengage? It looks to be the case.
Yeah.
Idra really wants to press the issue, though.
He does, and there's that Metamorphosis going in, but the Future Bile is an immediate response. Healing Ward already doing a lot, and Furious C has a bit of a hiccup on his internet, and he completely wasted Ancestral once again, so maybe the Caster Curse is real. And 2 members of 2ARC fall very quickly, so even though Ancestral was used, might not be the biggest of issues as they have a...
Oh!
The charge through the wall! Gonna flip, but not gonna find a kill.
Still, though, they're up 2-0 in this particular team fight here. They're getting quite a bit of pressure in this mid lane. Are they going to try and get the fort? No. They're backing up. They realize that there's some mercenary camps on this side of the map. It's a bit of a safer play.
Yeah, when you're ahead, get more ahead.
They're so used to hearing that. All of these professional ex-StarCraft players on this team. The wise words of Artosis, of course, ringing in their ears. They say, let's just play safe, continue to hold map presence, keep that lead.
I mean, right now, this is actually full-on StarCraft. They have the Whiterun inspiration with the special tactics out of Diablo. Like, this is actually just their full-on strat, and these StarCraft 2 pro gamers are really bringing it here. Bringing it here. That's the term now, apparently.
Bringing it here. Watch out for that here place. It's being brought. And of course, Idra still continuing to hold that map presence, and it's a dicey spot for 2ARC to be in. Of course, they desperately need this level 16, and wow, what convenient timing for EG to
what a glorious time for it to be night.
What a glorious time for a curse.
Is that what she said?
That's the Castlevania quote. Have you not played Castlevania, Jake?
I've never played Castlevania.
Oh, okay. Gamer confessions.
I've never played Chrono Trigger. He learned this today too. Kui actually doesn't.
Okay, pitchforks are out, guys.
LZ Gamer, though, is getting blown up. That Divine Storm will nearly secure the kill as he gets out of there with Prescience at the last possible second. The Concussive Blast, he pops Dimensional Shift once again. Idra will get the Ancestral. This time it's on point, and that Apocalypse is doing some work. Astadia gets flipped into his grave. Tombstone status acquired, but that Lunar Flare is going to do a lot of work in return. Now we see Quibsy getting hunted by Idra. Idra, that's the problem. He is going nowhere. He is just ready to keep on tearing through nerds, and that's exactly what we just saw.
2-for-4 situation for Evil Geniuses here. I don't think this is enough for them to end the game, considering they lost both of their supports. So the sustain isn't quite there. They will be able to get a keep. That's important for map pressure moving forward. Look at the structure situation that 2ARC has found themselves in. Only the one fort missing top. Evil Geniuses, this is absolutely their game to lose at this point.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, Barney has really shown us how powerful he can be. The the Sentinel looking to deliver a package, but it will not find any recipients today. There's lots of seeds left on the map, almost enough for EG to get 2 more plant terrors. This
Scary
is
thought, man.
Yeah, this is what, 60? 60, that's 120. That's 2 plant terrors.
So let's talk about that last fight. I thought that 2ARC had a pretty nice initiation in terms of throwing down the VP on the critical targets, Diablo being included in there. They had already baited Illidan out. They couldn't kill him.
Yeah.
And the Ancestral, once again, very on point from Kawhi Rice. Caster's Curse, not here to stay. He did land a very nice, and they kept Illidan alive, and you saw what he did to clean up the rest of that team fight. We've been saying it time and time again tonight. Makes a big difference. If you keep him alive, that's why we're seeing such a big resurgence here for Illidan.
Well, EG knows they have an advantage. They're forcing this full hearth out of 2ARC, and they are just going to chip away at these towers. That's going to be a good solid chunk of XP. The Lunar Flare clearing up the wave, and this Plant Terror should be summoned pretty soon. Now, they do have a decent amount of time remaining, 35 seconds before they are forced to pick it up. And it looks like, yes, they're going to opt to take this first, this Night Camp here before the Plant Terror is summoned. Oh, LC Gamer. So how much damage that Sentinel does late game?
It hurts.
What are they afraid of? Why are they backing up like this? Okay, they just want to group up for their terror. And they're going to see this has been picked up, and they're going to initiate on this. But again, this is a 4v5. This terror's out there, but it doesn't matter. Trader gets blown up so quickly, popping the first aid. The heals are there. The Chew on Panucci going to try to keep him alive, and the Starfall is doing a good amount of damage. But they need to clear that healing ward. There it goes. Okay, Faye in the front line. Very out of position. One Singularity Spike does connect. Second one hits on the Garden Terror.
Yeah, we see the power of that Garden Terror throwing down in a very nice Void Prison, isolating 3 members. Idra still out of position, but it's not really going to be able to much to capitalize in this situation. We see another, very nice instruction hitting onto ZPs and an isolated kill there. Onto Uther. Quibsy's trying to make an escape out. Kawhi Rice is chasing. Panucci also trying to leave the fight. Should be probably just a 2 for 0 for Evil Geniuses, but it's still a big deal. They have that Garden Terror. It is pushing. It is running to the core. They want to end this now. If they can get this kill into Panucci, that will absolutely be the end of the game. And the Shadow Charge forward and flip, that's going to do it.
I think that's it. I think that's
definitely it.
That's a 2-1 here for Evil Geniuses with that Terror smacking away at that core, falling so very quickly. Io Kubi a bag of flips. Diablo has done it. Very convincing play out of Evil Geniuses.
Nicely done. I was going to talk about all these imposing presences that 2ARC picked up. It makes a lot of sense, of course, but just never got the chance to pay off. They really would have loved to have gotten to level 20 to make a big difference in how they changed their team fights, but that was a Diablo clinic. And you know what, Jake? Give me them flips.
Give me them flips.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm happy to donate a bag of flips for a game as good as that.
That was like a win-win, Jake.
It was.
You're like, if Diablo wins, it'll be exciting. And if he loses, then I get a bag of flips. So
exactly.
Right.
That's a very nice, healthy payout. Because I win no matter what, like you said. We saw so many tombstone statuses be acquired there as Diablo just shoved them into the ground, eliminating every essence of their being.
People doubted the Diablo play after last time, but now
I'm one of those guys.
You did doubt it.
You know what? I think it's a real threat. I think it's a real threat because how convincing were those flip shadow charges? It's so quick. It's like the old Diablo before this patch was much more inconsistent and just kind of sluggish. Like he was an oaf.
Hadn't hit the gym yet.
He hadn't hit the gym.
Picked up surfing it.
It's true. But this Diablo, he was an agile beast. The Lord of Terror was in their face, shoving kids into the ground, actually making them plants. Like Garden of Terror, he's donating to that garden. I know. I'm trying to make all these stupid jokes.
So hard.
I'm trying to make all these really stupid jokes.
No, and on that note,
but seriously, it was really nice play, really refreshing to see. So thank you to EG for busting out the dibbles. Should have gone Bloodlust, would have been cooler.
Yeah, would have got more cool points from us. Those are sought after.
Yeah.
But maybe next time. Still, you get some cool points for the Dibbles play. Fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Hey, Jake, what are we doing Thursday? What are we doing tomorrow?
What are we doing tomorrow? Well, boy, yeah, the shoutouts are real. Well, tomorrow is the first ever not first ever, the 1 year anniversary.
The first ever 1 year anniversary. You had an opportunity.
Okay. The 1 year anniversary of our podcast Town Hall Heroes, episode number 51, officially been running for 1 year. Today is actually the anniversary. Today is actually 1 year ago.
That's right, because
today.
we used to run the show on Tuesday nights, of course, but Blizzard chose to make their patch days on Tuesday. Not that they've been doing that for so many years, but
like all of eternity. 10 years of World of Warcraft. So Town Hall's a year old. Tomorrow's our 1 year show. Gonna be a big show. That's over at twitch.tv/SolidJakeGG. That's
right.
me, Kubi, Zolia, and Sham2.
That's right.
And it's gonna be a really fun show. We got a lot of cool stuff planned. Additionally, I'm starting a new daily show, much like the Day 9 daily. And what I desperately need, is for you guys to send me replays of your games. Now, you can just send me your favorite games. It's great, but right now I'm doing a new series called Wonky Wednesday. I want to start it tomorrow, but if I don't have enough replays, I can't do it. What I want replays of support build Tassadar, full-on force wall supporty style. I need replays of that.
It's very specific, Jake.
It is. It is. I want very interesting. I want people to try stuff like this Diablo. This is cool. I think support Tassadar has some potential, and I want to see people play with it. And I want to analyze that in replays and just kind of sit down, talk about it, and see where the potential lies. So that's kind of the idea of this new show.
You young whippersnappers, they don't know, but Tassadar, the go-to build, way back in the day, was forceful.
It was.
If you guys remember that, but you were in the alpha very early. Good times.
But so that's my new daily show, Tuesdays through Fridays. It starts at 4 p.m. Various themes every day. Some days we're just playing games. Other days we're diving into replays.
Cool.
Thursday.
Like fun stuff. Thursday we have some matches. I know at least one of them is the Cloud9 all kill, not all kill, team kill.
Team kill.
That's the phrase.
Vortex Maelstrom.
Yes.
That's game 1.
And then the next game, Jake.
That's going to be Our Boys Heroes Hype.
Heroes Hype.
So good stuff. That's going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, of course, on Thursday. Same channel right here.
That's right. Please, guys, follow the channel if you haven't already. If you like the stuff, if you like what you heard. Also, EU happening approximately 6 hours prior.
Yeah.
2 p.m. Eastern time.
1
8 p.m.
1 p.m.
Central
Eastern, 1
European
p.m. Eastern
time.
it starts.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, that's when the ESL broadcast does in fact happen. And then
follow me on Twitter at the Kubi. And Jake, how about you?
Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, SolidJakeGG. Lots of Heroes of the Storm replays on the YouTube, so make sure you check that out. Lots of tournaments information and everything over on my channel as well. Kings of the Storm returns on Saturday. That's over on my YouTube or my Twitch as well. Kings of the Storm is a full bracket that happens all day Saturday, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, I believe, unless CS Steve makes a change. Follow that guy at CS Steve. He's a tournament admin that runs so many tournaments, so many groups and channels here for competitive heroes.
Follow at Kings of the Storm, too, if you want more information about when that tournament's going to start.
These plugs don't end.
No,
it's so good because there's so much
Where's
Heroes
my plug?
content.
If I was at my desk, I would pull my plug out. So good.
I got to go buy Kubi some flips.
Yeah, you do. I'm so excited. Not the white chocolate ones.
That's what you're getting.
Those are the
He
worst.
said he doesn't want them. He's getting them.
Not dark chocolate either. Just regular flips.
Regular flips.
Okay. Those are good. Ah, the saltiness. I can taste it.
I think that's going to do it for us here at
Yes, it
ESL
is.
Americas, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, for all the follow support. And until next time, Kubis.
No, that's all I got. Stick around, guys. No, don't stick around. Come back
Go
next
away.
time.
Go to bed. Go play some Heroes of the Storm.
I'm so used to going out for commercial. All right, come back Thursday. That's when you guys are going to see more good matches starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, we'll see you.